is, I would like to call it, what happened to all black teachers in America? I'm going to give you a section on a book, The Black Tax. Listen closely. Black Tax from Desegregation, What Happened to Black Teachers? Separate but equal, officially lasting from 1896 to 1954, when it was overturned by the Brown versus Board of Education. Discuss, while this was a great victory in general, there were some unintended and devastating consequences to black students, teachers, and administrators. There was a dramatic reduction in the number of black teachers at all levels. In 1954, about 82,000 black teachers were responsible for teaching 2 million black children and representing approximately 50% of the black professional class. In the decades following the Brown decision, almost 40,000 black teachers and administrators in 17 southern and border states lost their jobs. Black teachers were eliminated and ultimately replaced with a pipeline of white teachers. And I like to say white teachers mean overall and roughly now in 2020, 80% Caucasian, white, female teachers. In Arkansas, virtually no black educator were hired in the desegregation district in the decades between 1958 to 1968. In Texas, 5,000 substandard white teachers were employed, while certified black teachers were told to go into other lines of work. Say Carol Karpinski, an independent research and the New York City educator. During that time, black teachers received little help from the union, according to Helen Plate's brand of the National Educational Association, also titled NEA. Present from 1970 through 1971, the American Teacher Association and all black unions was too weak, and the large NEA was controlled by prejudiced people. In the mid 1950s, black principals were in a far worse position. Researchers estimate that 90% of the black principals lost their job across 11 southern states in North Carolina. For example, the number of black principals decreased from 620 to 40 in 4 years period between 1967 to 1971. Children often choose careers that they encounter from familiar and social networks. Midterm Hudson, Chief Executive Office of Education Management Companies Recruiting New Teachers, observed that between 1975 to 1985, the number of black students majoring in education dropped by 66%. The perception of drop in black teachers clearly had a significant effort on the network and the career path that black children were exposed to and would ultimately choose from. By the year 2000, 84% of the nation's teachers were white, while only 61% of students were white, and 30% of the public schools did not have a single teacher of color. Blacks make up about 18% of public school students, but fewer than 8% of teachers, and black males represent less than 2% of all teachers and administrators. In the U.S. education system, finding from the National Center for Educational Statistics indicate that the 2011 there were 3.2 million teachers and 49.4 million students in pre-K to 12th grade. Black teachers are 7% of the total U.S. teacher, while black students were 18% of the students, which means that there should be 352,000 non-black teachers in the country, since the average U.S. teachers make 46,953 a year, and the cost of these missing black teachers is 16.5 billion per year, or over 20 billion per year, including salary and benefits. For the black community in the states, the dramatic reduction in black teachers lead to an next page increase in black children being taught by white teachers who had both conscious and unconscious bias against them. Consider the result of several studies discuss the teacher's education correlated in the winter of 2002. And this is by a subnote by Gottenlity of 1964, and it states, discover wide disparities in the us and the adjectives to describe the actions of black students by a set of black and white teachers with the position adjective attributions of the black teacher. A question or questionnaire designed by Griffin and London of 1979 reveals a majority of the black teachers poll believe their students possess adequate and better abilities for school success. White teachers in the same study view a majority of the black students below minimum of level of abilities for achievement. Finally, Bradett and Hansel of 1981 discovered black teachers held substantial higher expectations for college success for black students than white teachers did. And I wonder why. From 1865 to 1955, which is a period of 90 years, 6 generations of black children experienced several underfunding in the U.S. education system, which effectively crippled their human capital development and reduced their earning capacity by 50%. Yet, despite several underfunding, they were educated by black teachers who identified with them and had high expectations and even higher requirements. Here is a description of the commitment and impact that a black teacher in 1940, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, had on Ivory Perry, a civil rights activist who fought against poverty and lead poisoning in the black community in St. Louis. What he learned at home found powerful reinforcement at school, especially in the classes of Miss Marley and Jones, his 10th grade teacher at Pines Bluff Myrtle High School. By the time Ivory entered her class, Miss Jones had already established her identity as an indispensable resource and role model for black children in the area. Before students could enter her classroom, Miss Jones held inspections to make sure that they had combed their hair, cleaned their fingernails, and shined their shoes. She wanted them to arm with respect for themselves and respect for others. Black educators like Miss Jones had the difficulty task of encouraging their students for success in a society that had stacks the deck against them. Miss Jones asked her students to look deeply inside themselves for the internal resource to transcend their unfair, unjust, and immoral circumstance. Self-discipline constitutes the core of her philosophies. She took the active role in policing the extraordinary activities in her pupils, driving up the down Pine Bluff of notorious 3rd Avenue in her big white Chevrolet. That's a nice car. All they had to do was bonk her horn at her student, and they would doubtfully turn around, go home, tell their parents, and accept their punishment. When she retired from teaching, she continued youth work for 20 years. After retiring from the job, she continued to do the same work on her own without pay. It was important to her for that the young people do something for others and that they recognize their responsibility to society. After the Brown and Board education decision, black students transitioned to a system that had more fun but eliminate tens of thousands of black teachers and increase their exposure to teachers with negative bias and decrease expectations. This was a net loss to the black community because black teachers, principals, and administrators were replaced with white teachers, principals, and administrators. This diversion and divert tens of billions of dollars of incremental funding away from the black community, Viva firing the black teachers and shifting it to white communities, Viva the hiring of white teachers, which actually is white female teachers. And let's check the estimation. The estimation of the black tax, eliminate of the 25% of black professions class, eliminates the pipeline that would produce generation of black teachers and administrators, black children exposed to higher concentrations and teachers with lower expectation and anti-black bias, 352,000 fewer black teachers, and 20 billion per year of income and benefits missing from black families. Up to 1 trillion of teachers' salaries and benefits missing from black families since 1954. End of that page, end of that section. What you must learn and know is this, that without black teachers you will have nothing. As you know, there are very or many online and some schools still reside here in the United States of America. But as from reading from the information, the black teachers have been reduction and lowering and decreasing throughout the decades and will continue to decrease as time progress. Only tangible solution, you need to hire black teachers. And for each situation between male and female students, it would be preferred if you could have the black males teachers teach black males and black females teach black females, and intertwine and mix it up a little bit. But like always, this is the Book of Endz. This is one of many of short talks and short looks. Get the book by Sean D. Rochester, The Black Text. And like always, this is the Book of Endz. Thank you.